Yeah, that's
The best is you also used to act as my therapist when I would like be getting prescribed medicine. You'd be like, you would know more about the shit that was going in my body than what I was putting in my body, which is also like,
concerning.
yeah. Did you ever see it? Did you see that new show Dope Sick with Michael Keaton?
Didn't I recommend that to you last
You
time?
you may have, but
I
I,
think
I
I
definitely
did.
saw it, and it was just like
Is it?
nothing.
It's
nothing.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that shit struck a chord with me like in no other way than any other show.
It
Like,
hits like our quadrants in
yeah,
quadrants,
because
quadrants,
but like you would
quarter-inch.
see how
Quarter
like
inch.
the effects of like different even demographics of like how they dealt with it, like pill addiction and shit like that, and how easily accessible it was. And it was like, I mean, not to name names and anything, but like there were times like I would have a party and people were like asking like what medicine like my mother had.
Insane.
It's like, what? Like, dude,
Well,
she actually needs that. Like, well, and here's the other thing. She actually didn't need any of that shit. And,
Probably
like,
not.
But they were just like, oh, like, my back hurts. Like, here's, like, a fucking bottle of Vicodin. Like, not to get on a soapbox or anything, but I'm just, like, generally.
I think that there's something probably wrong with our culture and how we handle our like like the disparities that we have within our own mind, like depression. We just don't know how to go about it, so we choose like easy routes with like patent drugs to make money off of the patents and to have like a crazy patent for a couple years so that drug company makes so much money. But I mean, that's not a. If you put capitalism into the medical sphere, you're gonna have bad medical care. I mean, great for treating bullets and like broken bones, but
Yeah, you're not getting to the root of any issues. It's just, like, a patch or a band-aid for that aspect. But,
yeah,
like, the one thing I am, like, glad, like, and it's interesting to see now, like, and I'm happy to see it, like, almost in, like, not like a condescending way, but, like an aha moment where like I'll be honest, like I was going to therapy when I was like 14, 15 years old because I was one of the first like ADHD kids, and they were just like, well, you're really fucking smart, but you're awful at school, but
yeah.
like the way that you talk is like,
You're,
probably sound like an idiot now, but like very intelligent
you're
for like
lucid.
what the grades fucking were and shit like that.
Yeah,
And I definitely think that there was like a lot learned, and I like that like I would at least have the feedback to be like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. Like, and I liked being like, why do I feel so wired right now, and why do I feel like out of my mind? But like for other people, they were looking for that sensation. I was looking like, how can I just feel normal? Where other people were trying to like feel unnormal, I was like, I just want to feel like how everybody else feels.
yeah, but what's the difference really?
I mean, it is all subjective, and like you could go into
Like normal, that like like normal, like you're basically you're basically mirroring each other, like because like you trying to feel normal is the same as someone who feels normal trying to feel unnormal in a sense. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. But I
Like
think
it's just more like you're stuck in a pattern and you want to change that pattern, right?
yeah, and I think what's nice about like going to therapy is when you realize early on that like you're not alone, and there's very few things like music wise, film wise, you know, comedy. We both love fucking stand up. Like,
Hell yeah.
there's very few things that are unequivocally original. Like,
Now,
you know,
this brings about it like a decent question, not to cut you off, but to more so to blossom
no, just cut
into
me
a,
off.
yeah, to blossom into a deeper area. So you speak about these forms of creativity, right? Now, where do you think creativity comes from? Because I think you're kind of getting here, but like, do you think it comes from like a is it like something you're born with, or is it something that you have to have as like a explain your thoughts of like how creativity is managed and like brought about with somebody.
So I think it's like a mixture of like, well, I'll dive a little deeper after I get my initial answer. I think creativity is something that is like instilled in you, something that you need to pull out, and has to be the right circumstance. As I've gotten older, like I used to always like, so for instance, I was always like kind of like an athlete. I wasn't a jock, but I love sports. But I always felt this weird like struggle between like but I like these other things, but I don't feel accepted by these other things if I'm like, training really hard at a sport and this and that.
Yeah.
But then as I've gotten older, I was like, you know, like the effort John Frusciante is putting into guitar is the same amount of effort that Kobe Bryant was putting in while he was trying to become the best basketball player in the world. Like they both were put on this planet to do whatever they love. Now that's a higher extent of creativity, but they tapped into it.
Maybe in a different, obviously it's different kind of creativity.
But I think we all have creativity in us. It's just a matter of like being in the right mind
I think
state.
Kobe was very creative with his sport, and like you can be very boring and not creative on the guitar, but you can also let your soul shine through, and you can also let your soul shine through with your playing as football, basketball, whatever, to like set you apart from the rest. Even if you're not the best, you have like a funky way of playing, and it's like attractive to people.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, like as a follow-up question, like that I feel like that creativity as you get older, like when you're trying to find what you like growing up, like it turns into like not only like your livelihood. And I feel like for you, man, like it's cool what you're doing now in like the medical cannabis community because like you were always like a beacon of insight into that shit and you put in your research and your time and your efforts. It was always like a valued opinion. So like having said that, like obviously you're not the fucking Kobe Bryant of knowing about weed, but it is cool that like, hey, maybe like from my perspective in my world, like in the most positive way possible, like I feel like you were truly put on this earth as like someone who is intelligent about these things and like that, and it's cool that like
Thanks, man.
when those things start to mirror in like people who find what they were meant to do, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And it feels like that creativity comes out of you every day where you're like you're not just clocking it in or mailing it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like going back to like growing up and finding that creativity, it's about like when you're in art class and in grade school or whatever in like third grade and something clicks with you, like those little moments, kind of that sense of creativity or like drawing a really good picture, like that just shows you mentally like you can do that. These are the steps that you need to take to really tap in and dial into something.
Yeah, I almost think creativity.
If that was a long fucking winded answer, but
it was a bit long-winded.
I know I took you for a long road, but then I came back to it.
You came back home, yeah. I mean, I think creativity or like these kind of outlets that create creativity, like the medium of like the guitar or the medium of your voice or the medium of the basketball or whatever, that allow you this opportunity to kind of lose the concept of like being stuck in time, and it kind of lets your mind break free from that. I think that's where the true creativity comes from. Like when you can get into the zone, into the flow, and lose the sense of time. I think time is like a prison, in a sense.
And that's what's crazy too, and like, hence why, like, obviously, like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, I absolutely like.
1 minute. The camera shuts off after 10 minutes, so. I didn't tell you that, so I was just going to let you know.
So I can't talk anymore?
You have 1 minute. So you have a 1 minute response.
Should I hold it? This is pretty fucking good. All I can say is...
No, it probably goes to 12 minutes.
Well, let's just do like a quick... Let's do a quick like commercial break intermission.
Okay.
So having said that, this podcast, I can't officially announce this, but he's enjoying a Cinderland's beer. If you're in the Wexford area... if you're in Wexford,
if you're in the Wexford area,
if you're in the Wexford area and you need a craft fucking quality local
it's
brew,
true, they're really good.
What is that? A double hazy IPA?
Citra Hazy double IPA.
Fantastic. Cinderlands. Excellent.
I support them, and the Silly Deep podcast supports them as well.
Silly Deep. That's amazing. I love it.
They're cool.
Who named it? Donovan?
Yeah, I mean, within reason, he has a portion of me.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's snap out and come into another one. So the way we do it is 10 minutes, and then cut off just because the camera cuts off.
Oh.